Obviously, Tigers are on the mind. They got a scoreless game against the Brewers right now. They blew them out last night. Was it 9-1? 9-0? I think it was 9-1. Something like that. Last week, they get the win against the Yankees in 2 out of 3. They get the win against the Twins over the weekend on the road. They're finishing up the road trip here in Milwaukee. The Tigers are, for all intents and purposes, right now, one of the top teams in the American League, one of the top teams in baseball. I got to say, I did not expect this. But some of the questions around this team is, are they real? I don't think any team is quote-unquote real just 16 games in. It's just too little, especially in baseball. But whether you think the team is real or not, the fact is they are performing at a very high level. They just are. I mean, like, what is it? If they win tonight, it'll be 5 series wins in a row since getting swept to the Dodgers. I mean, like, half of your losses on the year are to the Dodgers. And all 3 of those games were pretty winnable games. So it's not like you were, getting hosed to the Dodgers and then you're just feasting on bad competition. You're playing the Yankees and you knock the doors off of them. I mean, right now you're playing the Brewers, who are not a great team, but they're not a terrible team either. And then the Twins, well, take it or leave it, I guess. But either way, you're not playing, the A's. Basically, you're not playing the Athletics. The Athletics of Sacramento, or what? I think they're just the Athletics now. As there is a towering home run. Jeez. Rhys Hoskins just destroyed that baseball. That's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to focus in on one particular player because, as many of you probably know, I love to nerd out, especially on some of these advanced stats in baseball. It's my favorite sport to get into the statistics with because it's just so interesting and it's fantastic. And that player is one Spencer Torkelson. Spencer Torkelson is probably the most intriguing player going into this season. Not only had he pretty much been written off as a bust, I mean, getting sent down last year, an awful start that he had before getting sent down, his awful rookie year, one of the worst in history. And then he had the 30-bomb season, and people kind of forgot about that because he was just so bad. But right now, Spencer Torkelson is playing at an incredibly high level. So just on Baseball Savant, he's one of the top hitters in xSlugging, expected slugging percentage. He's one of the top hitters in hard hit percentage, in WOBA, and in xWOBA. All right? We're talking in xWOBA, he's the 88th percentile. In expected slugging percentage, he's 92nd percentile. Average exit velo, 83. Barrel rate, 84. Hard hit rate, 84. All a lot of red, basically. And, red means good in Baseball Savant terms. I mean, just this year, top 8% in expected slugging, top 9% in WOBA, top 5% in xWO Bacon. I don't even know what that is, but whatever. It's probably good. Needless to say, he's been very good. The only thing that's something of a concern, and he hasn't really done much this series so far, only, not even 2 games in, but his spray chart, as far as his hits, he's pulling the baseball a lot. He really doesn't go oppo much. He's gone oppo a couple of times for 2 doubles, but all of his home runs have been the pull side. All of his, his other hits have been the pull side. But he's hitting the baseball primarily to the left side of the field, batting righty. Now, the thing that I did want to point out, though, is where he ranks among first basemen. Because this, I think, is a little bit more indicative of where, obviously, if you just bring in all players, he's not an MVP candidate, at least not right now. But just among first basemen, he is tied for second in WAR. He's given the 3rd spot, but that's not acting. I mean, he's got 0.8 WAR on Fangraphs, okay? In WRC+, he is 5th with 184. In batting average on balls in play, he is 6th with 343. He's got an offensive rating of 7.2, which is third in baseball. His walk rate is eighth at 11.3%. And his OPS is fifth among first basemen again. 1,007 OPS. Now, obviously, those numbers are going to be subject to change, all that fun stuff. My takeaway on all of this is, for one, is it real? That is, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Is the 16-game start for the Tigers? Are they real? I don't know if it's real, but I do know that it's not, just nothing. Like, whether or not he is going to remain one of the top first basemen is a question. But whether he is playing at a really high level right now and a massive factor in the fact that your team is really good, that is real. I mean, again, it could all fall out by the end of May. We could be talking about how, oh my gosh, how stupid we were to believe in Spencer Torkelson. But one thing I do know, you don't accidentally get a 1,007 OPS. You don't accidentally have top 5, top 10 stats among first basemen in the league. You don't accidentally end up in the top 8% or the top 5% of hitters among expected slugging or barrel rate or hard hit rate. Those are not things that you just stumble upon. Like, you just accidentally end up there. You either end up there through some, change that you have made that pitching staffs were not prepared that you were going to make, or alternatively, you have potentially turned a corner. Now, there's still some holes in his game. I think he could probably utilize more of the field if he's able to go oppo more. That would be nice. However, if he's going to maintain where he's at right now, and he's never going to go oppo, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I'm good. Don't listen to me. I'm not a hitting coach. I'm not a baseball coach. I don't know the first thing about hitting a baseball. What I do know is, if you're not pulling, or if you're only pulling the baseball, that could potentially, backfire, so to speak. Hopefully he can start pulling hopefully he start, going the opposite direction. However, once again, you can't just fake what he's doing. You just can't. You're 16 games in. You could fake it maybe 1 or 2 games in, or 3 or 4 games in. We're now entering the second half of the month of April, and he's still one of the top hitters on your team. Again, maybe by next week he hits a slump or whatever the case might be. But it would seem to go along the same arc that the Tigers players have gone, which is the genuine development and the genuine improvement in skill. We saw it last year with Parker Meadows, a guy who batted below 100 to start the year, and he ended up being one of your best hitters. I don't see why we can't expect the same possible thing for Spencer Torkelson, a guy who didn't even know if he was going to make the team this year. I mean, Colt Keith was going to be the first baseman. One problem. Spencer Torkelson hit like 400 in spring training and forced his way onto this team, and then continues to hit close to 300 this year. Like, the redemption arc for Torkelson, look, if he is what he is showing himself to be, look out, rest of baseball, because the American League might have just gotten its own Pete Alonso. I mean, we're talking about a guy who this year, he's got 5 home runs in 16 games. I mean, do the math. You play 162. Extrapolate those numbers, obviously, with some disparity. He's already shown he's got the potential to hit 31 home runs. That was only a couple of seasons ago. But he did that with a below league average batting 233, just a 759 OPS. If he can hit, right now he's got a 288 average. If he can hit, let's say 275-ish with a 890 OPS, yeah, you're gonna see 30, maybe even 40 home runs at that. Obviously, Comerica Park is its own difficulty because of the dimensions, but he's shown he's been able to hit home runs pretty freaking far. Like I mean, those Twins home runs, those were wild. Those were really wild. So I'm going to say for now that until I truly see this slump get to him, like until I see basically a week or maybe even 2 weeks where he is just not doing much, I'm willing to ride this ride. Like I see the light and I see the development that this Tigers organization has been able to prove that it can do, especially with hitters even. And I'm willing to go along with it. It's the same thing with Casey Mize. I'm not going to talk about him because it's only been 2-3 starts. Maybe by the end of the month we'll do another segment on him. But this is a true redemption. If he is the player that he was projected to be, he was taken number 1 overall for a reason. Then the Tigers offense just got all that more scarier. And there's a reason they're one of the top teams in run differential, and it's in part because of the efforts of Spencer Torkelson. Hi, it's me again. If you enjoyed what you just saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We do live shows every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.